Hello everyone and welcome to Neon Developer Days. I hope you're having a great time with us so far. I'm Raouf, I'm developer advocate here, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to optimize your developer workflows with Neon database branching. We have a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. The first thing we're going to address is what are Neon database branches? Well, branches are just a copy on write clone of your database that you can use for different purposes. Let's just say that you have a development, a staging, and a production environment in your database infrastructure. So the staging and development environments in this case will just become branches that will inherit schema and data from your production database. You can also use branches for development purposes. So let's say that you and your team are working on features that all bring changes to the database. In order to avoid conflicts, you would like to create different branches that you can give to your developers so they can separately work on those changes without compromising the development environment. Also, here I'm representing Neon as a timeline because Neon knows how to reconstruct your data from any given point in time within your retention period. So you can use also branching to do time travel queries and create a branch from the past that represents the state of your database at a given point in time. Let's start with an example of how you can use Neon in your development workflows, starting by the development environment. So here I have a small application, a small Next.js application that uses Prisma to get data from this atomic element table. And all I do is to display some basic information about those elements in my UI. I'm using Prisma, so I have this schema right here, and I have only one table with two properties. The thing is, I don't have a database yet. So one thing that you can do when you're in your development environment, through the terminal, you can use the Neon CLI to create a project and get a connection string that you can use in your project. So the way you do it with the Neon CLI is using the neonctl command. And I'm going to create a project. And this way I can instantly get a connection string within seconds that I can copy and paste and start using in my project. So here I can now move to the right directory in my project, and we can then migrate this table here, this atomic table, to my database so I can have the table created. And the command is npx prisma migrate dev. This usually takes a minute, but what we want to do is to create this table. But the table is going to be empty, so that's why I have this element.csv file with the list of elements and also their atomic number that we're going to upload in a second. So here I just need to give a name to my migration. I'm going to call it init. And then once it's done, we connect to our database using psql to upload the elements.csv file. But before then, I just want to make sure that my migration went right. And I can see that I have my table and my Prisma migrations table also. And we will use the copy command. All I need to specify here is my table and also the path for the elements.csv file. I'm also going to specify a delimiter. So for a CSV file, it's going to be a comma. And also I'm going to say that it has a header. So I'll make sure that this is not considered as a row. All right, so it looks like it worked. And now what I want to do is to run my application to make sure that everything works well. And in Next.js, it's just npm run dev. And I have an error because it's not the right folder. So I'm moving to the right folder, run npm run dev again, and go to my localhost 3000. And the application is working just like expected. So I have all my elements here. All right. So what I want to do now is to add a little bit more functionalities to my small application. So here I want to display the element symbol. And the element symbol for hydrogen would be H, for carbon would be C, etc. So I want to add that. So this change will require a change in my table schema, but also in my UI. And this is why I want to use database branching for that. All right, if I go back to my project, I'm going to quit my pSQL terminal. And what I want to do now is, first of all, I want to create a new GitHub branch. So I'm going to create a new branch that I'm going to call demo. And then I want to create a new property or a new column that I'm going to call symbol in my atomic element. So now what I want to do, I want to migrate these changes into another database so I don't create any conflicts in the current one. And for that, I'm going to use the Neon CLI again to create a new branch that we're going to use for this development. So if I type Neon CTL branches create, it will require one more parameter that is called the project ID, and that's the project ID that was given to us when we created a new project. This information can also be found on the console, but sometimes it's just more convenient to find it in the terminal like this. And then I can create a branch, and I get a new Postgres connection string here. Then I can now use for my development purposes. And if I stop and restart the application, then I can see that my data. Let me refresh this page. I can see that my data remained the same because my branch inherited the data and also the schema of the parent branch. All right, now what we do is to use that branch that we just created, modify it, and the whole purpose of using a branch here is not to compromise the main branch. So we have this symbol column that we want to migrate to our table, and for that we're going to use Prisma. Oh, let me write it right. npx Prisma migrate dev, and this way we're just going to add this new column. What I want to do in the meantime also is to add some code in my front end to display that column. So let me go to the page.tsx here, and I'm going to add one more line of code to display the element.symbol. So I'm gonna add this h2 here, and let me name this migration add symbol. All right. So once we do this, then Next.js is not going to complain anymore about the symbol because it recognizes it now. Okay, but remember that it's a new column. It doesn't have any it doesn't have any data. So we have this script right here that is going to add and update the symbol column with the right information. So we're going to run that SQL file, and the way we do this, let me go to the env file. Get the connection string. We're going to use pSQL. So pSQL, and we're going to execute all the queries that are there. So pSQL, I'm going to paste my connection string, and I'm going to add -a, -f, and specify the path to the update _symbols.sql. And now it's running all those queries to update my columns. All right, that's good. So I'm going to refresh my page. Oh yeah, that makes sense. I need to restart the app. Let me go to the app, restart npm run dev, and go back to my page and refresh. So now that everything is looking fine, I have my symbol and I have my element here. I'm happy with my feature, so I would like to push all of this to production, but in order to do that, I'll need to create a pull request. And ideally, in a pull request, I'll also create a preview. So for that, I will use Vercel, and I'll point that. So all of that is going to be reflected in our CI/CD pipeline. So we're creating a GitHub action that is going to reflect all of those things. So we're going to create a new branch, perform the migration, and then create the Vercel preview. So let's go and see how it looks in code. Let me navigate to the GitHub action. So here I have a .github/workflows, and I have this deploy preview, the YAML file, and this runs on pull request. And as you can see, what we do, we create a branch. So we create a branch using the Neon CTL that we previously installed. Then we run the migration before using Vercel to deploy them. So let's now commit all our changes. So I'm going to open my terminal, go to the right terminal, and I'm going to commit all the changes. So first I'll add, I'll use git add dot to add all the changes, and I'm going to create a commit. So git commit, and I'm going to call it demo. All right, so we committed all the changes, and let me push all of that to my GitHub repository. And if we navigate to the repo, we should be able to see all the changes. Okay, I can create a pull request, and I don't want to push everything upstream. I just want to push it to my fork. So, but before creating a pull request, one thing that is important is that we created a new project. And I need to go to my settings here, because if I go back to the code, and let me show you, you'll see that we're using GitHub secrets. And here we're using a new project ID, so that I can find here in my terminal, because we created it earlier. It's the same project ID that we used to create the branch. So let me see where it is. Okay, it's right here. All right, let me copy this. And because it's a new project, then I need to add it to my GitHub secrets. And here I can find it under secrets and action, and you can see that I can find my Neon project ID. Let me paste it and update the secret. And now I can safely run the GitHub action and create the pull request. So once the pull request is created, if I go to action, I see that there is the action running, and this will create the branch for me. And once the action finishes, I see that it produces two URLs, so one for the Vercel preview and another one for the Neon branch. So let's navigate to the Neon branch one. Oh, oops, let me get back here. I would like to open it in another tab here. So I get a new branch, and this is the URL for it. As you can see also, the name is demo, and the reason it has a demo name is because the PR that we created was named demo. So here I'm going to my dashboard. I would like to copy my URL, and one thing that I want to do is to do the same thing as before. So uploading the data from the update underscore symbols.sql file to my new database, just to reflect those changes that we made to the database. All right, so the same procedure as before. pSQL connection string -a-f and update symbol. All right, I'll run this. And I can go and navigate to my preview. And there you go. And these are some of the things that you can integrate into your developer workflows when using database branching. But you're not limited to that. We actually see some creative use of database branching from our customers. We have a few customers that provide multiple branches and multiple states of the same database to their users in order to test some scenarios. For example, they do it for forecasting. So if some elements in the database change, they want to see how that would affect their entire model. Or you could also use it for experimentation. So recently, I wanted to experiment using the HNSW index. If you're familiar with this index, it has two parameters, M and EF construction. And I wanted to know which values provided the best optimal index for me. So instead of creating one index at a time with different values, instead I created multiple branches, and each one of them with different values for M and EF construction parameters. And that allowed me to experiment with multiple scenarios, with multiple branches all at once, see which ones corresponded the best to my data set, and then make a decision based on that. And I could do this using the Neon API. So in this case, I just needed the project ID. and also the Neon API key that is provided for you in the Neon console. And with this concludes my presentation. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.